Check, testing, check. Check, testing, check, 1, 2, check. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. That's good. Of course, you know I'm Alfonso, and welcome to my Saturday night virtual concert. Sorry, I've been having some technical difficulties. I think I got it resolved. Hopefully, if I'm not distorting or if I'm coming out clear, just let me know if I'm coming out clear or not. So, how y'all guys are doing? Just waiting on Mary from Blessed to Crochet to come up and get this rolling. So let's see what we got. All right, thank you. Sounds good. All right, thank you. So I'm glad to know that sounds good. No distortion. Hello, Sandy. Welcome. I'm going to start you off. You're my sunshine. You're My Sunshine on the counterfeit Hammond organ. Well, I wish I had a real organ. Now next I'm going to play Jesus Wants Me as a Sunbeam. Jesus wants me as a sunbeam. Hello, Mary. How are you?
Hello. How are you? How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm echoing. I don't think it's.
All right.
You learned that from last time, right?
Yeah.
Now I stopped.
Yeah. When I play the backing track, I had to turn the loop back to play my backing tracks along with it on my interface.
It was good to see you on my other keeper yesterday.
I know. Do I sound clear, or I'm not distorting?
Yep, you sounded beautiful.
Like no distortion, right? Like.
Not that I could tell yesterday.
Right.
Hi, Sandy.
Yeah, but like I said, sometimes on the live you don't really know what's happening. Like right now, I'm hearing myself a little too loud. Let me see if I can turn myself down a little bit.
I was doing work and I kind of got lost in it.
Yeah, it's all right.
I was like, wait a minute.
I was having difficulty. I don't know what happened. I was having technical difficulty not getting my sound through.
Well, we've uploaded Bible verses on our channel, and I realized and my mom's been doing it. I'm realizing like the 15th and 16th Bible verse in.
Right.
If we don't start cataloging them, we're not going to know which ones we've done.
Right.
And so I've just started sitting here. I did finally figure out some things. I don't use Excel well, but I'm learning it. So I brought my rocking chair in my room.
Wow.
I just sat in it throughout the day and just did some crochet. And okay, now it's time to get busy doing this little number and going through it, because I thought if I don't, I'm going to lose track of which ones we've done and what we haven't done. Not that you're not going to do duplicates over your period of time, but
right.
At the same time, it's like I don't want to do the same Bible verse we just did 2 weeks ago. But if you're doing 3 a week, you're going to get lost into which ones you're doing.
Right.
So, and I finished this for you. I don't know if you can see it.
Wow.
I just have to put the little tag on it. I got the little tags today, so it says "Blessed to Crochet." My mom's going to sew those on.
Wow.
There's going to be Alfonso's cupcake.
Yep.
As Sandy came up with blessed connection cakes, and I love it.
Wow.
So that's yours. It's just got to get the tag put on.
Yeah. And how big can you make them up to normally?
I mean, you can make them bigger than that, but I don't know if you'd want to make them bigger than that. I mean, it's just making the top bigger. I mean, you could make a huge one. There's a lady, and it was shown to me by somebody.
Right.
And this lady made this huge, I mean, I'm talking huge. I'll have to find the picture and send it to you. Huge crochet elephant. And somebody said, up for it. I said, no. And I saw this one lady literally crochet her wedding dress. I mean, it was beautiful, but I'm like, no.
Wow.
That's a little bit too much. But she crocheted like this huge elephant. I'm like, it needed to be in some kind of museum or something like that. By the time
because when I lived in New Mexico, I used to play in the nursing homes a lot. I used to play in the nursing center. And then if there was a few instances when the nursing center, like over at Good Samaritan, they have the annual arts and crafts fair every year, and I would play for them. And I would run the sound for the whole event. Which I had to be there from 7 in the morning to get set up so they could start at 10. For the event. Then finish at 6. And then, I will run the sound for different performers who come and go. I was one of the performers as well. But, I was running the sound, so I had my own PA system.
And I'm sure there were ladies there sitting crocheting.
Well, when I remember one of the ladies that had a booth that had some crochet, she had some real expensive items.
Yeah. Well, you can. I mean,
Yeah,
the blankets that I do, I could probably charge. I mean, the ones my mom and I do probably can charge about. We don't charge that much, but they could go for $500-$600 just because of the amount of work you're putting into them.
oh yeah, I seen
Yarn
some are
itself.
almost 1,000.
Yep, because it's so detailed stuff, depending on the detail
Yeah,
work.
very intricate detail. Like I seen some around $1,000, like a huge blanket with the New Mexico's Dia symbol and all that.
I mean, it's like we're charging $21.95, but these are not time. You know, little soap savers take like a half an hour, so it's not time consuming to the point of
Right.
being, overtaking the time. But to do a blanket, I try to
Yeah.
do it reasonable because I don't want people to go, okay, I can't have that. You can. The blanket I'm currently working on is the lady's, buying it for $200, but the amount of
Wow.
work I put in, it's probably more like an $800 blanket. But I'm not
Yeah, I
charging
believe
for
it.
that. I won't do that to people.
Yeah, like
I won't do one again. I've decided that one is not happening again.
right.
It was a great idea. I love doing temperature blankets, but it's a lot of work, and I probably won't do one
And it
ever
takes too
again.
much. It takes a lot of time too.
It does. I'm enjoyed it. I'm glad I could do it for her, but I'm not.
It took like many months, right? Like 6 months, basically.
I've been working on that one since last year, and I purposely said to her when she wanted to commission me to do one, I said, that's fine, but you have to give me a full year to do it, which sounds odd,
Right.
but I want a full year so that if I'm not feeling well or as I deal with chronic pain, if I'm not up to it, I can leave it for a month sitting and then come back to it. When you're
Right.
doing a temperature blanket and you're changing your colors a lot,
Oh yeah.
and there's a lot of detail in it, you sometimes you need to just put it down and walk away.
Right.
And so I said, I'll do it. But she gave me over a year to work on it. She doesn't need
Wow.
it till Christmas. But
Wow.
I wanted that time because I didn't want to be rushed.
Right.
I mean, I'm working on Kristen's blanket. I'm working on a dinosaur for her son. I'm just doing it for her because I want to. That one's coming out together quickly, but this temperature blanket's taking a while.
Oh yeah. It just depends on the size, the intricacy of the detail, and all that.
377 rows because it's one row for every day.
Right.
So it's when I get done with that one, I probably will never do one unless I'm doing it personally myself because it's just too much.
Right.
But I'm glad I did another one, and you know, I'm doing little stuff, and like we're gonna put the booties up on the website for people that want to get little baby gifts and stuff.
Right.
But that's stuff that's easy. We can do that pretty quickly. But I think we're like you're preserving the music. You're doing songs and you're preserving
Right.
music that has been lost, and we're learning a lot about how in the Spanish culture they brought a lot of those hymns in.
Yeah, a
But-
lot of the Western songs from
You know,
the Wild West.
But the thing about getting something that's handmade, like our little baby booties and scratch mitts that you buy instead of going to a store,
Right.
is that you're handing that to the mom and saying, "Here you go." Well, that's something most likely they're going to put on their baby. They're going to, if they're a mom, I know myself, they're going to keep it. And then when their child's born, that little baby grows up and has a child, then they're going to put it on their child. And it's something that gets passed down. It's like when my dad, back when I was born, they didn't have, the way of telling whether it was a girl or a boy. So the minute he found out I was a girl, he ran to the local store and bought me a dress.
Right.
What did I do? I put my daughter in it. So it's just passing it down from one generation to another.
Yeah,
And I think we've lost some of that. I really do.
yeah. Here's the thing. When you go to the farmers market, you see a lot of vendors that sell handmade crafts. At the farmers market
Yeah.
where I'm from originally.
I mean, I always do that when there's a baby. If I'm going to do a baby gift, I do a crochet item because I want to give something to that child that they can have and keep, and it's something that was just made for them.
Right.
It's like um, I'll eventually do. I've got the pattern for it, but like when I made that ABC blanket for my husband's cousin's baby that's waiting to enter this world, and his little brother saw it, and he said,
Right.
"Oh, that is so cool." He said, "That's beautiful." And he goes, "Can you make me one?" And I'm like, "What do you want?" He goes, "I want a penguin." And these two little boys have lost their mother. This is their
Right.
stepmother, and so they've lost their mother. And I'm like, you want a blanket? You got it. There's not, it's going to happen for these two little boys because I can't make one for him and not his brother. But I'm like, his just eyes when he saw that ABC blanket and all that, he was just like, that is so cool. Like, and it really was. I tell you what, there, the world's best critic could have come to see what my blanket was all about. That little boy that saw it, he meant the world. He was the best critic because he was so amazed by this blanket that was done and how it was yarn and how it spelled out A B C D E F G. He thought it was just
Right.
so cool. I'm like, Superstar could have come in and said, "That's really cool." And I'm like, well, that little boy has a little bit more clout than you do. That's the way I would have felt because I was there when, you know, I was there unfortunately when we had her funeral, and she was people. If you're driving, please don't text. It's not worth it.
Right.
She was driving a huge, huge truck and was going 60 miles an hour and looked down for a split second. All it took. There was a huge semi pulled over on the side of the road, and her truck went underneath it.
Wow.
She was in her 30s and left 3 kids behind. So, don't. It's not worth it.
Yeah, texting and driving, no.
It's not worth it. Thank God none of the kids were in the car, but it's not worth it.
But here, let me tell you, texting and driving does not only put other drivers
Yep.
in danger, but it puts those with disabilities in greater risk. Those who are blind or vision impaired at greater risk.
Well, I told my daughter, I said, just remember her, Christina, when you're driving. When she started driving, I said, just remember her. You met her. I said, don't do it because she's not here. It's
Right.
not worth it.
No.
But this little boy was just so amazed by the blanket. I'm like, yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
Whatever you want, I'll figure out how to do it. But I can't start it till I get done with some other projects, which seem to be growing and mounting by the. Like I think, oh, I'll get caught up.
Yeah, now that when I went to work the other day after work, I got myself these albums.
Who's on there?
Don Reno, the Smileys, 5-string banjo. Country music favorites.
That's cool.
Yeah, like I say, you just gotta look through sometimes with the record select where they have all the records, and you just never know what comes in the thrift
You
store.
find gems in that.
Yeah, and we do get a whole bunch of yarn and stuff like that at the thrift store where I work at. We get yarn like crafting supplies and all that.
Usually, I know people have their views about Hobby Lobby and their takes on it and everything, but our Joann's does not have a huge selection of yarn
Right.
at all. And so the closest one is Hobby Lobby. And usually I only shop there when it's on sale.
Well, I haven't gone to Hobby Lobby in 4 years. I tell you that. You know, I think the last time I went was like 4 years ago, right before the pandemic, because I was looking at some model train stuff for my model trains. I don't remember, but I couldn't find what I was looking for.
Well, they have their yarn at 30%, and my husband knows that's the best gift he said he can get me is yarn. Just get me yarn. I'll be a happy camper. But
usually when I go to Hobby Lobby, I like to look at the train sets, but they're expensive there.
I eventually want to get all my yarn through Ice Yarn and have it delivered, but that's down the road. But for right now, that's where I go, and that's where I get all my cotton for the soap savers. When I send you the cupcake, I'll send you one of our soap caddies.
Okay.
I still want to call them soap savers because I changed the name to soap caddies, but I get all my yarn from there for the soap caddies, the cotton. It's the nicest cotton I found around. And,
right.
You know, and the Michaels is about an hour away, and I find their yarn very expensive. And so I got Joann's and Hobby Lobby. Those are the two choices. Hire or Treasured Home, and that's it.
Well, they closed the Hobby Lobby where I'm at. They closed them down because of high theft. They closed Big Lots. They closed a lot of the Hobby Lobby stores. They got closed down because there's too many break-ins and theft.
I have to be real careful that my that any yarn that I touch,
yeah,
has a label on it that is very clear for me to read. Because if it's anything but acrylic, bamboo, and cotton, just
right.
Sometimes even just touching the yarn and then touching my face. I went into, I think it was Joann's, and I was just looking at the yarn, and I tried very hard not to touch my face, but I must have. I had a whole red streak because it was wool. I'm highly allergic to wool.
Wow.
So I have to be very careful that if it doesn't have a label on it, I won't touch it. And if it has wool, I'm usually touching it with some kind of gloves or something because I just can't. I can't take a chance.
Wow,
I know
I
people
didn't know.
said that marine wool is great, and people with allergies can still use it. And I'm like, I'm just not going there. Usually with acrylic and cotton, I'm pretty good, and bamboo. But any kind of animal yarn, I'm just not. I stay away from that.
Right.
I don't want the hives from it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to play Shall We Gather at the River. I don't know if you ever heard that song.
I have heard that song.
Thank you. You know, the other day I had a request to do a song with a big pipe organ. Actually, they requested that I go to do a video of me playing the big pipe organ somewhere, and they want me to pull all the stops on the pipe organ to make it powerful enough to shatter windows and everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had a request like that. Like, can you play the big pipe organ, you gotta pull all the stops, make it powerful so you can shatter windows and
then you're going to pay the bill, right?
yeah.
That's fine. Just write me a blank check right now for it. Tell the owner we're about ready to break your windows.
Yeah. I don't think like I don't know, but they say the big pipe organ could cause problems, especially like the bass. Like, especially if you pull all the stops. I heard they're really loud. I don't know if it's true or not, right? The big pipe organs.
I have no idea, but I'm just sitting there going, do you really want to burst some of these windows like that?
Yeah, like, I guess so.
Let's write a check, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, like, nah, I'm not gonna play that extreme, you know.
Well, I wouldn't think so. I would hope not.
Right. Like I don't like putting all the putting all the drawbars on my organ, you know, as it is, the way I got my custom settings, you know.
I would, that's a strange request, though.
Yeah. Like, some requested me to do a video at a church playing the big pipe organ where all the stops pulled out. No, that's not.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm dropping everything.
loves me.
Amen.
The Bible
He
tells
does.
me so.
He does. He loves each and every one of us for those people that don't believe.
Right. Now, can you accept Christ on the behalf of someone that don't believe or no?
Can I accept prayers?
Like accept Christ on the behalf of someone say the sinner prayer on the behalf of someone that don't believe.
The only person that can accept Christ is himself. If they don't accept Christ, then there's not much that we can.
But you can say on their behalf, right?
No,
Like
because God is talking about you as an individual. It's like it's up to my daughter saved, but if she had chose not to be saved, it would have been totally up to her.
right.
My uncle didn't want to listen to the rest of us. I believe he's in heaven, but that's up to him.
You can't say,
No.
"Dear Lord Jesus, I ask you on the behalf of so and so to please come into their heart and save them."
We can ask God to have grace on them, and we can ask that God would show, like when I do my devotion Tuesdays, when we talk about that, and I say people that are listening, Lord, let them come to your saving knowledge and speak into their hearts, but it's up to them at the end of the day. I mean, I know people don't want to hear this, but if as terrible things as O.J. Simpson did,
Right.
if he accepted Christ at the very end of his life, truly accepted him, believed in him, believed that Jesus died on the cross for his sins, guess where he is?
In glory.
So it's up to the individual person. I think that's somewhat of a Catholic view, if I remember right. Don't quote me on it. And I'm not getting political, but look what happened today with Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
If people don't believe that Jesus' hands were all over that man today, I don't care who it had been.
Right.
If you watch the video, all he needed to turn on his head was just, you're talking about milliseconds.
Right.
And all he would have had to do was turn his head and it was over with. God wasn't ready for him yet.
Right.
We don't know when it's coming. You better get ready when, if God is speaking to you, you better get ready when he is.
Yeah. You could just never know.
Sandy, if he had I think he was looking this way. If he had just done this the minute, it would have been absolutely horrific for everybody in that audience to have to witness. And
Right.
No political thing is worth any of that.
No. Like
I don't
unnecessary.
care. It's not worth
unnecessary violence. It's unnecessary.
It's just sad that we've gotten to that, I think.
Right.
To me, that's just. Can we accept everybody has a different political view and just leave it at that?
Right.
That was the most call. And I'm not trying to get political. You all can believe whoever what you want to believe. Vote for whoever you want to vote for. I'm just saying.
Right.
God wasn't ready for him yet. But I said to my husband, I said, boy, did he have the grace of God all over him today.
Right. I'm going to play one day at a time.
Beautiful.
Yeah, one day at a time. Un día a la vez.
I like that one too, Sandy.
Yeah, with the counterfeit Hammond organ. Now I'm going to play Sola Triste Oveja, the Sad Shepherd.
beautiful.
Thank you. I love the way that organ sounds. That's the kind of organ I want.
That's one thing Scott was saying. He said, "Hi, Jake." That's one thing Scott was saying. He said, I miss. He said the piano did when he did the 2015 recording, but he said I missed it doing it on the organ. He said if we had been able to have the organ available to play, he said that would have been amazing. But he didn't have that for the recording. But he said it just didn't sound the same without the organ to it.
Yeah, but like the organ that Scott used, it's a Hammond. It's a Hammond.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have it in the availability in the recording to do, but he said he really wished he could have done it with the organ.
Yeah, it's becoming less available, but on the record, the organ that Scott played, it's a Hammond.
Yeah.
Because I could tell the way it sounded. They got the Leslie speaker on the side of it that has the horn that spins.
Yeah. He just said, "I wish I could have done it with the organ." But I said, "Well, at least we've got it. I'm thrilled to have any of it."
Yeah, that's the kind of organ I want. Like the last song that I played, it's the vibratos that I like from the Hammond, the vibrato setting, vibrato 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, like Hammond has its unique sound that I really like. It's basically just like tone wheel generators inside the organ console. It's just like got tons of wheels that spins to generate.
Amazing.
It's all mechanical,
It's just amazing how we've created so many different instruments.
Yeah, because that's the electronic, that was the electric organ. Because originally it was meant to replace the pipe organ in the church, like the Hammond.
Yeah.
They were marketed to churches, like to replace it. But like low cost maintenance at the time when they came out.
And Jake says, "Alfonso, were you able to listen to 'Nearer My God to Thee'? The sounds a lot better tonight than last week. Sounding great."
I don't remember. Like I said, I remember, I know I had an organ console, like a Spinet. It was by Hammond, too, 20 years ago when I lived in New Mexico. I gave it to my mom forced me to give it to my nephews, and my nephew destroyed it, and I regretted it.
Well, one day, hopefully, you'll have that again. You'll have at least an organ. I mean, it's not as great on what you're doing right now, but at least it's somewhat of the sound.
Yeah. Yeah, because nowadays the keyboard's all digital,
I know, and it misses that rich sound.
Yeah.
It's a different sound when you get it from an organ.
Yeah, because with the organ, basically it's all like the amplifier and the speaker and all that inside the organ. It's like has the tubes in them.
I don't know if you ever saw the Crystal Cathedral. Did you ever see that?
No.
They used to do a lot of I can't think of it. Streaming. And they had a huge organ. I mean, the whole church was glass, and they used to call it the Crystal Cathedral out in California, and
Wow.
It was literally in glass, and they had a huge organ. I remember that.
Oh, like the pipes and all that?
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can look at it to see if I can see if there's any on the internet for you to be able to see what I was talking about. But I remember that they had a huge organ.
Yeah, but like the pipe organ, what I don't like about it, like you're at the console, but you're far away from the pipes. You're really far away. That you're hearing a lot of reverb, like a lot of echo, like a lot of reverb. Like you can't really hear every note that you're playing when there's too much reverb.
But see, you have those ears that us, I hate to say laymen, but I'm going to use that word.
Right.
Us laymen don't notice it. You notice it.
Right.
I just hear music. I don't have that fine tune where I'm sitting there going, where I can hear it. And I think it was Bridge Over Troubled Waters. You know that song, right?
Yeah.
And the original artist to that song was in the audience when Elvis sang that song. And they said to somebody, I don't remember who it was, and they said, guess what? That's exactly how it should have been done from the very beginning. But he had that tone. He had that perfect tune where he could pick up a musical instrument. He was never trained. He didn't know musical notes, and just play.
Right.
And people said when they used to go to auditions, or not auditions, but rehearsals, and they said Elvis knew exactly how he wanted it to sound. He knew when somebody was off. He could tell when something wasn't working right. And they said he had such a perfect tone, musical ear. It was unbelievable. So for us, we don't hear it, but for you, and for they hear it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No.
It sounds beautiful.
No, I've personally seen like the pump organs in museums and stuff like that. I don't know if you ever seen those big pump organs that
Yes.
with the pedal you pump air with the pedal, the bellows.
Yes, I've seen.
And then you got the stops and those sound more like an accordion, because they have reeds in them.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Belmar Park a couple of years ago on a field trip with our company. We had a picnic there at Belmar, and inside the one-room schoolhouse. It used to be a one-room schoolhouse, and they had a pump organ there.
There's a restaurant if you go to Columbus, Indiana, and it's called, I'm going to forget it too now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. It serves ice cream and sandwiches and stuff. Oh my goodness, I'm going to forget what the name of it is. And they have a player piano, I can't talk tonight, in it. And it is delicious. You
Wow.
wait long to sit, but it's just like stepping into an old-fashioned ice cream shop. It's expensive, but it's good. But they have the old-fashioned player piano.
Yeah. And one thing, there's two types of pipe organ. One they use in the church, and then one that used in theater for the silent films back in the 20s.
That was cool though, to be having down in the audience, to be able to have that somebody playing.
Right.
And to be able to have they were going along with the screen before
Right.
they had that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So basically, it was like the Wurlitzer organ, the Wurlitzer pipe organ, the theater pipe organ,
But
and it was, and let me tell you, those Wurlitzer organs were meant to replace the entire orchestra by one man, basically.
But I think we need to bring those back, because
Yeah.
the kids have no idea what they are. It's
Well,
like,
I've seen them myself personally in El Paso, Texas. I've seen them. I've seen one at the Sun Park Mall, like the Wurlitzer theater pipe organ.
but I mean, going back to the theater and doing something like that and bringing your kids along to go through. I love those shows. They don't do them as much as they used to.
Right.
But going to have people dress up in like the 1860s and having to go back into that life and wearing the clothes that they're supposed to wear and living the way that they were supposed to live. And I remember one series where they went out west.
Right.
And they pretended like they were living out west, and there were several couples. And this gentleman was pretty well off. And they went back to their house. It was nice. They were building a house, so they just decided to do the show. And he said, we got back to our house after living in a one-room place, just enough with the bed. And he said they did like an after returning back to their normal lives. And he said, you know what? This house is too big.
Wow.
They lived like that for 6 months, he said, where we all were on one roof. We all were in the same room. We all lived together. And he said, we're all spread out. And he said, this house is actually too big. He said, I miss that small, tight unit that we used to have. And I love shows like that take people of today back, and you have to live like, back to the Pilgrims, the way the Pilgrims were living, and having to do laundry back to the way they used to have to do laundry. And it takes us back to remember how far we've come and how lucky we are.
That reminds me, my aunt and one of my aunts in Mexico, down in Juarez, she had a house like that. And
on one room?
Well, you had like the kitchen, then you had the one big bedroom, and then it was just the kitchen, and then the 2 rooms only. It was all bedroom, or you could use it as a living room, whatever, a combination.
I just love watching.
And I remember the bathroom. It was like an outpost. Where you had to go outside to shower or whatever.
Yeah, like the kids don't realize how lucky they have it today. We have indoor plumbing, and
And I remember this was back in 2005. I'm talking 20 years ago. I would go every weekend, to stay with my aunt down in Mexico. I would go every weekend.
It's like, we live with my mom just because we're all trying to help each other.
Yeah.
They used to live in tribes and be there and support each other and help each other.
And I used to visit like on weekends, if I go every other weekend to Mexico, because it was like an hour, 2-hour drive from where I lived at the time.
Jake, I have never had to use an outpost or an outhouse in the sense of in a living situation. I've used a porta potty or something like that outside, but the closest I came to that is my uncle. I was staying with my uncle and my dad, and we were staying he had like a trailer, and this was the middle of Maryland, and it was cold, and it was cool weather, and I was a Florida girl at that time, and so he had like this old trailer, and he was having us sleep there because they didn't have enough rooms in the house. Well, there was no restroom, and so when I didn't want to go walking across the yard in the middle of the night, I was a teenager, what have you, but I remember getting up in the morning, and it was cold, and literally running to the house as quickly as I could, and there was only one bathroom in the entire house. So I was praying as I was running, hope to goodness gracious nobody else was in the bathroom.
Yeah, but
that was the closest to an outhouse I ever.
Yeah, but my aunt had the outhouse. It was just the bathroom and the shower combined.
That was the closest I got.
And it's close to it was just right outside. When you go outside the kitchen door, and then right next to it, it's just the outhouse.
That was the closest I got the entire time was that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good memory, but now that my uncle passed away 10 years ago, my aunt sold the house and she went to Jalisco.
Where's that?
Further down south in Mexico, like I believe where my dad's originally from Mesquitic, Jalisco, where it's it's a small village where there's no infrastructure, there's no running water, no electricity.
Can't imagine living without electricity though.
Yeah, like uncivilized, where there's no infrastructure. Where my dad's originally from.
I mean, I feel bad for the people that have been without lights and electricity with the hurricane. I can't imagine.
Well, I'm talking the small village where my dad's side of the family are from. They're high up in the mountains.
Okay. So they have there's a harder way to get electricity and all that stuff up there.
Yeah, it's harder. Like,
I mean, we could sometimes you'll go down here and you'll see horse and buggies.
yeah, and like you have to like I remember over there hearing about like over there like they wash their clothes in the river and all that too.
See that's where we need to get back with our kids and show them how fortunate they are today.
Right.
They're not having to take. I think we take some of it for granted.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know this song, but Jake says "Hallelujah" on the organ. Do you know that one?
Hallelujah, like the Hallelujah chorus.
I think so. I think that's the one he's talking about.
Let me see if I could figure out. That's usually like for the pipe organ.
He says yes, that's the one.
Boy, that was loud.
But it was beautiful, though.
Yeah, that how the pipe organ was normally sound.
It's beautiful, though.
Yeah,
And Sandy Winnie said, when I lived in Alaska, a lot of people in rural areas had no plumbing or electricity.
yeah, they live off grid basically.
The technical difficulties, the keyboard isn't coming through, just in case you didn't know. But I think he
Right,
was just playing the pipe organ, is why maybe it didn't come through.
right. Yeah, because when you got too much reverb, sometimes you get with the reverb, you get phase cancellation because like a very high you get a lot of the same frequency in a very wide stereo image, and they can't kind of cancel each other out, especially like the lower frequencies, like the bass line at a very wide stereo image, they kind of cancel each other out.
See, I can't hear it. I do not have a musical bone in this girl's body. That's for sure. I think I'll stick with the crochet.
Yeah, I don't want to blast anyone's ears all out with the pipe organ. now, now you could tell, right? When you're sitting at the organ console, like a pipe organ.
Well, there's definitely there's a different
Yeah,
thing to it.
yeah, it's different from a regular organ that I like. Like on a pipe organ.
Beautiful. People are saying, "Wow, that's powerful."
It is powerful, right? The pipe organ.
Believe me, I could hear it through my earphones.
You can hear that. You can
I
feel the
could hear the
power,
verb.
right?
I could hear the reverb you were talking
Yeah,
about through that.
yeah. Yeah, that's how it normally sound on a when you're at the pipe organ console, because you're really far away from the pipe, so you're not gonna be able to hear every note.
But I think again, it all depends on people's, people's if their musical talent,
Yeah,
they're going to
because
hear it in
especially
a way that us,
because especially in the big cathedral, there's a lot of reverb. It's very wide open, a lot of sound reflection.
of course. I got to look up the Crystal Cathedral. Cathedral. I can't say it tonight. You know what I want to say? That was fabulous. Sandy Wendy said.
Yeah.
I agree. %100 agree. It's loud, but it's beautiful. Sandy Wendy said that's fabulous.
Wow. Well, I guess I need to give a warning that may be really loud to blow out your eardrums or might shatter some windows.
Well, I listened to it with my my earphones. Everybody else can turn their volume down a little bit just to get the right sound. I can't.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful, though. Might
Yeah,
need to be back in church again.
Yeah. Like, have to warn everybody, like, that it may be really loud. I might shatter some windows.
But if you ever get offered to shatter some windows, you just say to people, okay, well, you have the paycheck to pay for it, because I certainly aren't.
Right?
I'm not paying for it.
Right?
I don't have that money. I'm trying to save up to get my own organ, right?
Yeah.
One day, maybe a year from now, we need to come up with a way to do a duet, Alfonso, Jake says.
Yeah. I'm going to play the 3 Hour of Prayer. Wow, dang. Yeah, normally I don't play the pipe organ much. I figure it's too powerful.
Says Alfonso, you're truly talented. Don't say it lightly. Keep it up, man. Thank you for starting this channel. I hope more people find you. That's what we're trying to do, Jake. And
Yeah.
I can tell you when Alfonso came on Blessed to Crochet, because I was doing a Saturday night hangout. That's how we met. Because I had been on Gail's channel. No, it wasn't Gail's channel. It was
Susan.
Billy Chicken Ranch.
Yeah.
And he came on my channel and he performed. And because of my friend who I've started putting up his music on my channel, that just brought me back to that time with Scott playing, his songs and so forth. And I said to Alfonso back then, I said, do you do lives? And he said, no, because I'm afraid of the trolls. I said, well, if you get me on and make me a mod and I'll come on and help you. I said, you're not going to worry about that no more. You haven't had one bit of problem, have you?
No, we haven't, thank goodness.
And I said, you need to get on, you need to do this thing live. And we've become friends.
Yeah, because usually, like, say, if I do it all by myself, it's harder to keep up with the chat,
Yep. But we've become friends through it, and we were I sit here on Saturday evenings and help him, and he's helped us with stuff on our side, so it's kind of like the bargaining back and forth a little bit like the old-fashioned days, right? Yeah. I'll come and do this and help you, and you help me here, and and we've become friends in the process of it.
Yeah.
That's what we're all here to do. We're all here to help each other.
Yeah, I could imagine I could potentially blow out the speaker with the pipe organ sound, right?
I'm sure you could. Let's not try.
Yeah. Yeah, if I don't know, here knows some distortion on the lower end, like the bass notes and all that. Because it's very powerful. Now I'm gonna play Commodore Found Every Blessing. Yeah, you can feel the power, right?
Yes, you can. Jake
Like how,
said, well, you make a good team. Thank you for putting a smile on people's face. Beautiful music in people's ears. I agree 100%.
thank you. Yeah, like, because I want to tell you, like on the organ stuff, you got like the 16-foot. That's the way the organ works. Normally, like on these drawbars indicate the length of the pipe. They got the 16. Let me show. Let me get my organ. Like I pull. See, I'm pulling like this. Like there's like I got all the drawbars. All the stops are in, so there's no sound. When I start pulling them one by one, I'm gonna show you. Like I'm gonna see if I can zoom in, so you can see the stops on the organ. Now I'm gonna pull the. As you can see, I'm gonna pull the 16-foot. That's the low notes, the lowest. Then you're gonna pull the 8-foot. Now I'm gonna pull the 4-foot pipe stop, then the 2-foot. So that way it creates its own sound, and then you got the 5.5. Now I got album out. All the drawbars out. So they're referring to the length of each of them refers to the length of each pipe on the pitch.
It's beautiful though.
Yeah, like the white ones indicates they're octave apart. Like this is like the 16-foot. So this is like more like the bass, and then you got the 8-foot, the fundamental. It's just like an octave apart, you know.
I can hear that.
Yeah. Now, if I want to pull the 4-foot, so you're playing like 3 octaves. You're kind of like playing 3 C notes at the same time when you pull these 3. Now, if I pull another one, the 2-foot pipe, so now I'm playing 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
4 octaves. Now, if I pull the 1-foot, so that's like 5 octaves. Now I can pull the thirds, like so it just refers to the length of the pipe on these settings right here.
It's amazing though.
Yeah. Now, normally on a pipe organ, yeah, you will have more than this. You have several ranks.
Well, you would need to.
Yeah. Because I imagine, you know, like the organ consoles, like one it had like several ranks, like one for each manual. It's like two manuals. Yeah, like for the bottom, like the bottom would be called the grades, and the upper would be called the swell.
I did read music. I still can at one point. I just haven't read it in so long. I have to go back and remember exactly what all the musical notes are. Because I see I should have, and this is what I should have done. Anybody who's trying to teach somebody to play an instrument, do yourself a favor, make your child learn a piano first. Have them learn that, and I'll tell you why. I learned on the flute. So all I learned was the treble notes. When I wanted to learn the piano eventually, it was so confusing because then I had to look at the treble and then look at the other and get confused because I was looking at the other, the cliff, is that it? The treble and the bass?
Yes, treble and bass.
I was looking at the bass going, wait a minute, that note's a C, but over here it was so confusing to my brain. So if you can do it with a child, I know they want to play an instrument, have them go and learn the piano first, because then they learn the treble.
That's how I started.
And the bass, and then that way, if they want to go to the flute, they can. But then I just had such a hard time because I would look at the note in the treble and say that's a C, but in the bass it's something totally different. And I just could not wrap around because I had done so many years of the treble that I couldn't put my brain could not go around it. It could not. And I wish I had learned the piano first and then gone, but I didn't.
Yeah. I started with the keyboard. Remember when I was 17, 2001, in my senior year in high school, I got my very first keyboard, my first Casio, and that's how I started out.
I just wish that I had done that because then I wouldn't have gotten so confused. I just couldn't. I just finally gave up because it was so frustrating. All I wanted to do was going, this is not going to work.
I don't know how many keyboards I had over the last 20 years, the last 24 years.
Probably a lot.
I think I keep upgrading, getting the better ones over time, I remember my first Casio keyboard.
I did have a keyboard, and my grandparents tried to take me to learn piano lessons, but yes, or put them in music therapy theory class, yeah. But when I tried to learn it, that point I had been in band since I was 5 years old, or not 5 years old, since I was in 5th grade, and we had a teacher called her Mrs. Trussell. She's no longer here. She's with the Lord. She was a tough cookie, and when we went to perform, when we did a sight reading, she would practice us doing sight reading. We'd come in, we wouldn't know what music we were putting in front of us, and she would go through the whole routine of how sight reading was. Well, when we went to do competitions, we always would get first place in sight reading because she practiced with us so often. And we'd come in and we would have to do sight reading just like it was done in competition. And if our class got out unruly, she'd just tell everybody, put your instruments down, and she would stand on that pedestal until we all got ourselves in check real quick. She was a no-nonsense teacher, I'll tell you that. Well, I left that school and I went to another school, and this teacher, God help, everybody was cutting up. And at one point I just turned to everybody and I said, we'll just stop. I wasn't used to that. I was used to the the tough teacher that was on there. And at one point, this teacher started breaking down in tears. And I'm just sitting there going, would everybody just, they're coming here to be a band. Can we all not cut everything up? It was hard after being in Mrs. Trustle's class because you did not fool around for nothing.
Right.
She was going to get at each one, every one of you. Going to that, we did miserable in sight reading because she didn't practice sight reading with us.
Wow.
Just curious, was stars a thing back then? I don't know that answers my question. I don't know. I just know when we used to go to competitions in Florida, she would always sit there and she'd practice. We were always prepared, I can tell you that. She was not going to have us unprepared. And remember when I said to you I have to start putting these Bible verses in some kind of category?
Yeah.
I just went through them going, yep, I did one on the 25th or the 27th. I did another one, the same one on the 9th. I'm thinking, see, we're double dipping.
Yeah. You're duplicating.
I'm duplicating because we're not keeping track of which ones we're doing. We're just throwing them up.
Right.
I told everybody I'm not doing shorts this weekend so we can get them organized because otherwise I'm going to be all trying to figure out what's going on with what.
Right. Well, I hope it didn't blow anyone's ears out with the pipe working because.
I can still hear you. You haven't blown me out yet.
Yeah, I hope it didn't blow anyone else.
Should we do a trigger wording on the bottom, Alfonso?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anybody's birthday.
Birthday?
I said I don't think it's anybody's birthday, the people that are in here.
No. Oops.
That sounded cool.
Yeah. I don't know what did I do? Like. I remember my first keyboard I had it was a Casio CTK 570 when you had like 137 sounds and 100 rhythm, backing rhythm, and that was it. And a basic recording function only.
Well, they had one. I remember I got one and it had the same kind of beat in it. It was some kind of Christmas song. I did watch Christmas music today. But it is Christmas. A lot of people are celebrating Christmas in July.
Yeah,
I
Christmas
did watch
in July.
a Christmas movie today.
Well, one of my favorite Christmas hymns is Star of the East.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Yeah, I could bring it up now.
have never heard of that one, but I
Never heard.
remember that, Jake.
Never
I
heard of
think
Star of the East.
I've never heard the Star of the East, but I have remembered the stars now that he brought that to my attention.
Yeah, that's my favorite Christmas hymn.
I have to think what mine is. Think which one is it? It's my favorite one. There's so many.
I remember growing up, going to school. We actually sang the Christmas hymns in the regular schools, like Silent Night. I don't remember what other one we sang. The First Noel and stuff like that.
I remember those.
Remember when you used to sing them in the regular schools too?
Yep, when you didn't have to be taken out because we're going to offend somebody.
Yeah, and I'm talking like in the early '90s.
Well, yeah, when we weren't going to be offending to anybody.
Right.
I'm gonna, you know, listen, people. If there's somebody gonna say something that's gonna offend you, and if the problem is we haven't taught our kids that they're gonna get something that's going to upset somebody, or you're gonna get something that you're not gonna have a. Not everybody in life gets a participation trophy.
Right.
You know, I have a very different view of it lately because I've had a family situation, and apparently because of what we said, has decided that this person that's had a relationship with me for almost 50 years and my mother for longer than that. Goodbye. And is it worth that? Is it worth it? I just think of my nieces and nephews in my life. There is not anything that those children could ever do that could ever stop me from from me talking to them. Ever.
Right.
You know, they're not always gonna do everything that I agree with. They're probably gonna do a lot that I disagree with. I have my daughter.
Right.
You know, and she's a grown woman. I don't agree with everything she does and she wears and she says, but I love her, and there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to ever stop that. And I go to my 10-year-old little Lily, and I go up to her and she'll just say, and I said, "Come here." And every time I see her, because we can talk through Messenger, and every time I see her, she now knows. She goes, "I know what you're going to say, Aunt Mary." And I said, "Yes, honey, and I'm going to say it every time I see you." She said, "I know if I need to talk." She said, "You're always there, day or night." And I said, "Yes, you know that if you need to talk to your Aunt Mary, if you have nobody else to talk to, and you need to pick up that phone, you can call me. I don't care what day or night it is, and I'm always going to be there to talk to you." There's nothing in this world worth of everybody just saying, "Oh, well, that offends me, and so I'm hurt." And then people walk away from friendships and life, and you know, it's sad. I think
Yeah.
it's sad when we start doing that. We disagree this way politically, and we disagree this way religiously, and you know, at the end of the day, our moral standards goes back to the Bible.
Right.
But the law of the land is something we need to abide by. We don't have to agree with, but we need to abide by it. But if people are choosing to live a lifestyle that's not honoring to God, it does not mean that we need to go hit them over the head with the Bible.
Right.
We need to love them as Christ loves them, and show them that, despite what they're doing and what they're living. Not just sit there and say, "Oh, well, I'm out of here because you said something that was offensive to me." Can we disagree to disagree and move on? And what I said was not that terrible for that person to just say, I'm out.
Right? And like,
It's so sad.
yeah, it's so sad, but nowadays with the political and all that going on, there's a lot of division among the political
There is.
aspect.
There is. And that is absolutely, to me, um, that's the sad part of it, is that we have just come to this, in this world where let's just get upset at everybody for what they say and do. And I was kind of nervous on my channel to start putting up Bible verses and talking about doing Devotion Tuesday. But what I find when I do that and when I don't do that is, here's the thing that happens. A lot of people, when I put up those Bible verses, I get around, depending on the time, but I usually get anywhere between about 450 views, 400 to 500 views on that one short.
Right.
And I have more people, Sandy Wendy's one of them, that says, I look forward to Devotion Tuesday. I get a lot out of that. And there's a lot of people that are on my channel saying the same exact thing. They must need it.
Yeah.
It's the light in this world. And if people want to come to my channel and be upset that I'm sharing my faith, go to another channel. It's
Right.
part of me. I'm not going to bottle it up. That would be hiding a part of me.
Right. And like I said, people really there's so much, when ever since this nation formed, we started splitting our denomination, our Christianity faith. We start splitting to small denomination over time.
We did. Because we're no, I'm not going to. And I told people that from the start. You want to know where I sit politically and religious wise? Go to the Bible. Does
Right.
it like, for instance, when they last, we all know what last month was, right?
Right.
I'm not going to say what it is. We all know what that was. Well, people were coming into my chat. And they were dropping those emojis. I didn't say anything. We just removed them.
Right.
And you know why I did? It wasn't that I was trying to be unloving.
Right.
Or that I was trying to be pushing anybody away. But at the same time, I thought, this can be a divisive subject. And it
Right.
is. Don mentioned what it is. We know it's a divisive subject. We're not doing divisive subject like that here.
Right.
Not happening. If you want to live that lifestyle, then go live it. But don't bring it in to here.
Exactly.
You don't need to announce it here. And we just removed the emojis. Not trying to be offensive to anybody, but it wasn't the time nor the place for it.
That's correct.
So.
And people don't seem to understand like what's going on now. Like all this political violence and all that. Like it's like unnecessary. And I remember 24 years ago, like long before that, until the 2000, before the 2000, I did not hear any negative ad campaigns on the political aspect until after the Bush and Gore election. Definitely all the negative campaign, like all these kind of bad mouthing each other, trash talking each other. That's what I don't like.
Well, if we realize, and this is what our pastor says, we don't have to agree with the person sitting in the office.
Right.
We don't have to agree with them. We don't have to like the person sitting in the office. We can respect the office. And we can pray certainly for the person sitting in that office. We need to be lifting them up in prayer. But at the end of the day, does it really matter who's sitting in the Oval
No.
Office?
No.
Who's sitting on the throne? That's what matters.
Right.
He already knows how this. He already has the finished book. He already knows how the story's going to end.
Right.
We just have to be ready when it ends. And the question is, are you ready? Well, Jake, thanks for stopping in. He usually does it every Saturday. Of course, I was sitting there going, it's 9:30. You called me. I was like, wait a minute. You need prayer tonight. What do you need prayer for? If you want to just say an unanswered prayer, then we can go ahead and certainly pray for that. Those that do pray, please be lifting up my aunt. She has had several new spots on her lung, and it doesn't look that there's a possible note in the chart that says that they may choose to just tell her to stop chemo. So she knows where she's going.
Yeah.
So, but Jake, I certainly will lift you in my prayers. I know Alfonso will. And if anybody does have any prayer requests, if they want to come back to the video after it's done, I'm sure Alfonso wouldn't mind.
Right.
People want to put prayer requests in the comments. Yeah. Okay. Our nation after today's attack. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Our nation needs prayer, definitely, because you
But
just...
I want to point out, people can say what they want, but realize there are pictures going around the internet today. They should be powerful in itself. Forget the face. Forget who it is. But when he was on the ground, he was like this. He was praying. When the Secret Service surrounded him, his hands were prayed. He had blood dripping, but his hands were in a prayerful position. That should be extremely powerful to anybody sitting out there. And if anybody wants to throw stones at somebody, let's go throw them at each one of us, because we all have been guilty of something.
Right.
We all have done something. We all fall short of the glory of God. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things. But at the end of the day, the king is sitting on the throne. And we have to trust that he knows that he's got this.
And there's nothing going to take him out of the throne, right?
No. I'm just thankful that nobody else was hurt in today's thing. I mean, and we can just sit there and thank God. You know, there's a story about George Washington that was told, and my dad used to be amazed by it. And I think it was George Washington. And they said, we used to call him, and I can't remember the name they would call him, but they were so powerful. Because he said, we know we shot at this man. We know that we saw bullets going to him. We know we did. And he didn't die. And there, you can look up the story about George Washington and the bullets. They said, we know we aimed at him. We know we shot him. And he still lived. Why? Because God wasn't ready for him yet.
Right.
If he had turned his head a millisecond, it'd be a very different vibe tonight. And at the end of the day, he is a father and he's a grandfather.
Right.
And a husband and all of, let's put everything, just let it all go. But there's other things coming in to that surrounding it. There's so many other factors, and everybody, and at the end of the day, everybody wants to take God out of everything.
Oh, yeah.
And the battle is not against Trump and all them people. It's literally a battle against, we don't want God anywhere in this country.
Right. Like, they're definitely trying to take the Christianity out of the country.
Of course.
I heard, I think a a few years ago, my friend in New Mexico was telling me that I think down in Nicaragua and another country in Central America, the government ordered the president of the country ordered that all religious institutes close down,
That's
that all
terrible.
churches must be destroyed, that God must be taken out of that country.
Well, I think Jake, the person that passed away in that incident today, was the person that did the tried to did the bullet. I'm trying to. I know you're not monetized, so I'm still trying to. I think he was the one that actually the Secret Service got him. Um, and if the other people were injured, um, that's terrible. But at least nobody beside the person that did the incident has lost their life. And if you're brave enough, or should I say, I don't want to call anybody the other, I don't want to say dumb enough, but to some degree, you know how many Secret Service are around that whole thing? And do
Yeah.
you think that you're going to get away with it?
No.
They have plainclothes people that are spotting with. You're not going to get away with it. There's Secret Service all the way around that whole thing. I remember I was in Baltimore one time. I was walking with my dad, and I was a teenager. I didn't know nothing. And we were in Baltimore, and we were going out, and they were doing a practice little thing. And I just said to my dad, "Who are those guys over there?" He said, "Oh, those are probably the Secret Service." And I said, "Well, I guess I shouldn't tell them that we have a pew pew, right?" And he said, "Perry, don't do that." He was so mad at me. I was just goofing around because I didn't realize the
Right.
seriousness of it. But he was. I looked over at my dad's face, and if looks could have killed, he would have had me. He was so mad. He said, don't say that. And I just went off and I said it.
Oh my God.
They didn't turn around. They didn't hear me, but I did it low enough. But he was like, "Harry, don't do that."
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. You know, growing up, going to elementary and middle school, we were told that any elected official, like the governors, presidents, senators, that we were told growing up in the school that those are specialized humans that are totally different from us.
They said spectator passed and 2 injured, and the shooter was killed. That's terrible.
Like
That is just awful.
they're telling us that,
I'm glad nobody else was, but that's just awful. Prayers for those families.
but they were telling us in school that those are specialized humans that are different from us.
Yeah.
Like presidents and governors, senators, congressmen, and like they're all specialized humans. And that's what we were told growing up, going to school. And I remember in '96, I think around October '96, that year, President Clinton came to our city to give an educational speech, and our school were giving out tickets to go see him. And then I remember my teacher said, and I was in the 7th grade at the time. This is gonna be a once in a lifetime experience that you get to see a president in person, because you know a president is a specialized human. They're different from us.
Yep. I agree, Jake. At the end of the day, everyone has a family and loved ones. Absolutely.
That's what schools would tell the kids back then. Like any elected official are specialized humans that are totally different from us. Until now, now that I'm older, came to the understanding that they're just the same as us, right?
Yep.
and I told one of my friends that what I was told in elementary and middle school, and yeah, right. They put on their pants the same way we do, one leg,
Yep.
one the other.
Well, that's what Elvis used to say. The image is one thing, and it's really hard to live up to an image.
Yeah.
He said, I put my pants on the same way everybody else does. He was always, what's the use of having money if you can't help somebody that's in a difficult situation?
Right.
He used to love giving to people and helping people and being there for people and, you know, what do we remember about Elvis? He was addicted to prescription medications. He wore a jumpsuit.
Right.
He had, multiple relationships instead of looking at all the other good stuff he did. And he did a lot of good for a lot of people that a lot of people don't know about. But what do we focus on?
On
If
the
you,
negative.
if you go through some of the shorts, I was going through the short the other day, and I thought, okay, 10 facts about Elvis. And I said, really? What did they pull up? He had this many girlfriends. I'm like, this was his weight towards the end. And I'm sitting there going, can we look at what he's doing? And I give his one of his stepbrothers, and of course, Elvis, he wasn't a stepbrother, he was his brother, a lot of credit because he said, I'm not talking about all that. He said, I'm talking about all the good stuff. He said, the stuff that this world needs to hear about my brother. He said, I'm not, if anyone wants to talk about that stuff, I'm not going on their shows. I'm going to talk about the good stuff that my brother did in this world.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to way down the road, though. But when I get to heaven, I look forward to meeting Elvis. Because I know where he is. He was absolutely loved the Lord. And he made his mistakes. He wasn't perfect. But what do? We put him on a pedestal.
Right.
And we say, okay, if you do that, then you're saying he's as equal to God. And he's perfect. No, he wasn't. And he knew that. He didn't like to be called the king of rock and roll. So there's
Right.
only one king, and it's not me. He didn't like it one iota.
And look at Dolly Parton. They wanted to make a statue out of her, so people could worship her and all that. And Dolly Parton declined.
Well, Elvis had that too. I mean, if they did a statue of Elvis, it was not something that he ever commissioned to do. But where his Tupelo, in Tupelo, Mississippi, is his birth home. Now, it's very, very. It's even never had a porch swing that was added when the museum was put up, and it's certainly refurbished on it. All that they lost that house because they couldn't even afford that. But it was just a 2-room thing. It just had a kitchen area and a bedroom. That was it. But they said to Elvis, "Listen, would you like a statue to be built in your name?" And he said, "No, please don't." He said, "I want a church, a little church chapel there." He said, "So that my fans can go and just meditate." And so if you go to Tupelo, Mississippi, if there's a statue, it was done afterwards. But Elvis didn't want a statue.
Right.
Now, and there's this little chapel in there. And then in the glass panes, you'll see like images of Elvis in the glass, in the stained glass that's there. But he didn't want a statue. He said, "Please put a chapel there." And that was his request. He didn't want a statue. See, he thought by the time, what is it? He's been gone since 1977, so he's been gone for 47 years. They thought he would forget about him. He thought, they'll forget about me. They won't remember me. I've done nothing great on this world to be remembered by. If he only knew. That was his biggest fear, is that people would forget about him.
Right.
But, nope, he said he wanted a statue, or he wanted that little chapel there, and that's what they do. And I encourage anybody to go take a moment. I've been to both. I've been to several Elvis weeks throughout my life. Go to the Tupelo. It's only an hour away from Memphis. So go to Tupelo, Mississippi. Go see that little tiny home where he came. And then realize that he moved 20 times within his, or 21 times within his 20 years of life before he got to Graceland. So when he got to Graceland, he was done. And so go see that, see this little tiny shack of a little place, and then go to Graceland and think, you want, keep going and doing what you're doing and have your dreams come true. You could get there or not, but he treasured that. I mean, it wasn't a fancy dancy home by any standards today, but he loved it. It was his home. But go see that little place he started out with and the place he ended up with. And it's been visited more than the White House.
I feel like the White House is kind of like misleading because the way they show it on TV, they show it like it's humongous, but I heard that if you go there in person, it's not that big.
Oh, it's big. I've been in the White House before they closed it down to public people, but I've been there.
Because the way they were here to hear how they show it on TV, they put cameras on the bottom.
Well, there's secret parts of the White House you don't see. Like you never see the president's quarters.
Right.
It's like Elvis. They've kept the upstairs totally off limits to everybody. So there's parts of Graceland seem small, but if you would go upstairs, it would be a lot bigger.
Yeah, because the White House looks real big on TV because the way they put the camera to get a certain angle to make it look humongous. But when you go there,
big. That's pretty big. When you stand in front of it, it's pretty big.
Oh, it's big?
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's no small tomatoes. But I'm just saying.
My sister went there 20 years ago, and she said it was small.
But just to be saying that that Elvis's Graceland home has gotten more visits than the White House.
Wow.
But he always thought that people would forget about him. But go visit Tupelo and then go see Graceland.
Right.
Maybe one of these days you'll get to Graceland. You'll get to see it too, Alfonso.
If I could leave the state, yeah.
One day, maybe.
Yeah, let me show you what I got. I don't know if you've ever seen these.
I've seen them in videos, but not up close.
This is what I use for my music.
When you do the clones?
Yeah, when I do the clones.
Well, it's getting almost to be midnight here.
All right.
And I've got to get up for church tomorrow.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close out then. I'm going to close out with I Saw the Light.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome. I got you covered,
All
right?
Yeah.
You got you covered. Have a
All right.
great night, everybody. See
You
you
too.
next week.
See ya.